What is your NSFW fun fact about yourself? I once had to go to the hospital for what was diagnosed as a post-orgasmic migraine. Yeah, I had that happen, which kicked off a, so far, 9-month headache that won't stop. Turns out I have 3 ruptured discs in my neck, but why it didn't bother me till that one particular time, man shrugging. I too have had this during periods of high stress. Not fun at all. They would typically kick in right before the finale and ruin the end of the session. My pee turns toilets purple. It was the freakiest thing when it started happening and my doctor couldn't figure out what was happening. I would use a toilet and then a few hours later brownish spots would appear and those spots would eventually turn a purplish color. My wife and I figured it had to be something to do with my medication because it only started happening when I switched to new meds. Eventually, after a lot of research, we found a paper in a medical journal that mentioned that in very rare cases the urine of patients who took my medication would have interactions with various household cleaners. That interaction can happen on the film of cleaning solution residue on toilets and turn brown, red or even purple. That's fucking freaky. Somewhat similarly, my blood turned an awful greenish brown on a migraine med. The former Prime Minister, Taoiseach, of Ireland has touched my penis. In a medical context, of course. Hey dude, remembered me? Yeah, you touched my peen once. Now I heard you have an empty position in the parliament. I'd be happy to fill that spot and avoid a scandal. What the fuck? Apparently he delivered me lol. My testicles are drastically different sizes. Like a golf ball and a macadamia nut. Edit, I appreciate the concern but nothing to worry about. They've been like that as long as I can remember. I saw a doctor when I was a teenager and he said there was likely an injury to the smaller one causing the larger one to grow extra for it during puberty. Pics or it's not real. I don't know if this is NSFW, but when I was born my penis was so crooked they had to completely rearrange it in surgery. They said that if it was left as it was my dick would point at a 60 or so degree angle to the left and that urinating would have been quite the task. Did they do some upgrades during the process? Ring 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 banana duong. I have breast implants from having breast cancer. They get cold and it's built in air conditioning. Username checks out. Whenever I go pee, I just brush my pubes. Like a scratch or you got a little pube comb with you? I do the same but when I brush I use Arthur's voice and say, "You alright boa?" An ant bit my testicles once while I was having sex at a hiking trail. In case anyone is wondering, it was awful. And now that testicle can lift 50 times your body weight. Why were you having sex with an ant? I once was the dude the lesbian chick had sex with who upon having sex with me decided she does in fact like girls. I take this as both a compliment and an insult. I was that girl once. My friend was questioning if he was gay or bi, and he was very attractive, so we hooked up. He was fine with the BJ, but lost it during sex. Yeah, he was gay. My husband has only had 3 girlfriends in his life. There's me, the other 2 are lesbians now. Oops. I got circumcised at 25 after slicing my foreskin and a vasectomy at 30. My Frankenbeans hate me. So, do you have less feeling after the circumcision? Though I imagine having it done late in life isn't the same as when you're a baby. At the height of experiencing prolonged concussion symptoms, I masturbated and felt a jolt, like a shock of electricity, travel up my body to the part of my brain where a light fixture fell on my head. My symptoms instantly subsided. Post-nut clarity achieved. Gym teacher voice, just wank it off. I don't have a gag reflex, which hasn't been great the few times I've actually choked in something. Same. I got a strep test yesterday and didn't gag. The nurse commented on it and joked I must have been popular in college. Also, can you put weird stuff in your throat like knives or spoons? I'm a guy and I don't have one either. My dad was having sex with a hospital nurse while my mom was giving birth to me. That's long been used for the many fights and reasons my mom hates men. This is insanely fucked up. How did she found out? On occasion my dreams are so vivid that I mistake them as reality, and only realize it's not so after I wake up. The rare times when I have the urge to pee in the morning after stupidly drinking liters of water before I sleep, my dreams shift to being in the toilet where I pee. My brain and body get synchronized to my dream and I end up pissing in my pants. Weird ass embarrassing experience, and I'm in my 20s. Probably a consequence of stress. I've been lucid dreaming for about a decade now. Never, ever, go to the bathroom in a dream. Ever. It bends to the right. Mine to the left. I have two arseholes update. I am sorry to those of you that feel misled. The second hole above my anus is inactive. There has been an inquisition or interrogation into my anuses. Anus has no idea how to pluralize it. Second one isn't an anus, it's a hole in the crack of my ass that serves no purpose. One person suggested smuggling, but it would need to have very high cost to density to make sense. Anyway, thanks for the interest. Whoa, don't talk about your kids like that. I believe that's called a fistula. I once spied on someone jerking off in the nearby stall at a mall toilet room. That was an experience, but I really don't want to repeat it. One time for break when I worked at UPS, I walked into a bathroom stall and someone had left their cum in the toilet water and all over the toilet seat. I can Jedi mind trick myself to cum with no physical contact. I've only seen this power once before. I think that power is actually a variant of forced choke. Smoking killed my libido, so I killed two birds with one stone and quit for good by rubbing one out each time I got a craving. Like multiple times a day, especially at work. 10/10 would recommend. Beaten chicken greater than cold turkey. For a little while back in 2015 to 2016, I was dating a very high libido woman and we drank a lot, fucked like rabbits. A few weeks go by, and when we would have sex, I would cum blood, well, very bloody cum. This happened for a couple months, pretty gross. We wondered if my kidneys were failing, was my bladder messed and leaking, so many questions for a couple months. We broke up and after only a few days, I no longer had blood in my cum. Turns out, we were having too rough sex too often, and the constant pounding was rupturing blood vessels in my penis, and we never rested long enough to let them fully heal. The blood pressure in my penis during sex, coupled with the abuse, was filling my urethra with blood. Moral of the story, fuck too hard for too long and too often, you can break your dick. Edit, amazing that this is the most popular post I've ever put out there. Not sure how to feel about that, lol. Double edit, I learned some of us men get harder than normal, and that makes this affliction more likely. Call it a double-edged sword. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is spongy and bruised. Did you not think to, stop having sex for a while and go a doctor after the first time? I open NSFW posts at work. You're really living life on the edge. Due to an error in the hospital system that happened when I was born, my last name is technically Kuma. My grandmother's maiden name Kuma. Are we technically related? Okay, Kuma. I'm an example that the birth control pill isn't always effective. My mom told me this when I became a teen. Crazy how things work. I've had sex more often in groups than one-on-one. Theater kid, huh? I was about 13 and came home from a Boy Scout camping trip to discover there was a tick on the underside of my dick shaft. Even though you learn about how to handle them in Boy Scouts, I nevertheless freaked out because there was a tick on my goddamn dick. I asked my dad for help and he carefully used the match head trick to get rid of it. Cut to 20 plus years later and my parents, a bunch of friends, a couple of parents of those friends and I are at a pizza place playing trivia, nomming some czar, and drinking. My dad is a lightweight and got pretty drunk. No idea how he got to the topic, but he's telling another parent that I was well endowed. The table was quiet when he said this, so all 10 plus people heard. I can only recall the tic-tic debacle as the sole point where he ever would have seen anything. It was fucking embarrassing. I should have just left the tick alone and died in peace with my penis parasite. You've heard of elf on a shelf, get ready for. What conversation makes you think your son's dick size is an appropriate anecdote? Maybe he's been jealous ever since. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.